Context of the Articles of Confederation. In 1775, the Second Continental Congress met for the first time to prepare for war with Britain. This culminated in the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, officially marking the start of the United States of America as an independent nation. Right away, the new country realized that it needed to set up a national government. This was necessary because the Revolutionary War was in full swing already, and there needed to be a centralized body to manage the war effort. Congress immediately began working towards the creation of a set of documents that would govern the new nation. On November 15, 1777, Congress officially adopted the Articles of Confederation, and they were put into effect on March 1, 1781. But just 8 years later, in 1789, the Articles of Confederation were discontinued and replaced by the Constitution. So what went wrong? What were the problems with the Articles of Confederation, and how did the Constitution address them? The main problem with the Articles were that they were too weak. They were developed so that the federal government would have minimal power. In fact, under the Articles, there really wasn't one nation of the United States. Instead, each state maintained its sovereignty, and Congress was supposed to operate to keep the states together in a league of friendship. The Articles of Confederation had limited powers. It had no chief executive, no court system, and no ability to enforce taxation or regulate the economy. The Articles Congress was a one-house system of government, where each state's delegation had one vote in changing national policy, and 9 out of 13 votes were necessary to pass any laws. The reason a supermajority was needed to pass federal laws was to give the states as much power as possible. This was a reaction to the tyranny under the British government, and was meant to make the states as independent as possible. But the consequence of needing a 70% majority in Congress under the Articles of Confederation was that no major laws were ever passed when they were in effect, demonstrating a major problem with them. In a letter to John Jay in May 1786, George Washington said that it was necessary to revise and amend the Articles of Confederation. But what exactly happened that prompted a need to revise the Articles? Congress's inability to regulate the economy under the Articles was a major problem. As paper money was flooding the country and the Congress had a depleted treasury, inflation ran rampant during this period. These conditions contributed to Shays' Rebellion. Shays' Rebellion was a rebellion that took place in western Massachusetts, where Daniel Shays and others rebelled against the government because of high taxes and stringent economic conditions. The Articles of Confederation were revealed to be too weak for the nation's security when Congress was unable to raise money for an army to quell Shays' Rebellion after the governor of Massachusetts asked for the national army. The reason Congress couldn't raise money was because it had no ability to levy taxes. It could request money from the states, but had no way to guarantee that the money would be paid. As a result, Congress couldn't afford an army to dispel Shays' Rebellion. All these factors together were what led George Washington and the other founding fathers to decide to hold an assembly to revise the Articles of Confederation. This meeting became known as the Constitutional Convention and produced the Constitution still in use today. How the Constitution addressed the problems with the Articles of Confederation. The Constitution differed from the Articles of Confederation in how much power the federal government had and how that government was structured. The government under the Articles of Confederation consisted of only one body of representatives, but the Constitution split the federal government into 3 branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. Legislative branch. Under the Articles of Confederation, Congress consisted of one assembly where each state had one vote, and 9 out of 13 votes were necessary to pass legislation. Under the Constitution, the legislative branch was split into 2 chambers, the Senate and House of Representatives. In the House of Representatives, the number of representatives is based on population, and in the Senate, representation is equal for all states, with each state having 2 senators. This 2-house system was designed to balance the power between the states with high and low populations. Executive branch. Under the Articles of Confederation, there was no executive branch, as it was thought that that would be giving the federal government too much power. But under the Constitution, an executive branch was adopted, which was led by the President and his cabinet. The President is responsible for enforcing federal laws, acting as Commander-in-Chief of the military, and conducting foreign policy. The President also acts as the image of the United States to its citizens and other countries. Judicial branch. Under the Articles of Confederation, there was no national court system. Disputes between states or interpretations of laws were left to state courts, leading to inconsistency and a lack of a unified legal framework. Under the Constitution, the judicial branch is headed by the Supreme Court and includes lower federal courts established by Congress. The Supreme Court has the final authority on interpreting the Constitution and federal laws and resolving disputes between states. This unified judicial system ensures consistent interpretation and application of laws across the nation. Conclusion. The three-branch system was developed in order to keep the balance of power and not concentrate it anywhere in one place. This way, it kept the spirit of the weak government under the Articles of Confederation, while still having strong authority over the whole United States. By giving Congress the power to levy taxes, the Constitution solved the government's economic problems. By giving Congress the power to raise and support armies, the Constitution solved the issue of not having a military to keep order in the states. Overall, the Constitution solved the issues of the Articles of Confederation while preserving the ideas of freedom that initially inspired them, as well as establishing a more solid government to solve the growing nation's problems.